Welcome to Weekends with Whitney. Coming up in today's show, the largest, most elaborate, longest running ballet in Baton Rouge. The Nutcracker, a tale from the Bayou. See what's new, exciting, and adventurous in this year's production of the Red Sticks family Christmas tradition. Then Dr. Nick shows us why and how we tend to focus on all the wrong things.
Be aware that they're real. That sometimes we feel like we're not enough. Sometimes we feel like we've got to have more.
Right.
And that's when you say, okay, that's what I'm going through right now. I'm not sure why. And we can start questioning. I'm wondering where that's coming from.
We begin with the beauty of ballet, an amazing orchestra, and the magic of Christmas. The Baton Rouge Ballet Theater's The Nutcracker, a tale from the Bayou, returns to the stage for its 28th year next weekend. Author and TV anchor Leo Honeycutt's been there almost from the beginning. It started with a kiss, then a call from artistic director Molly Buckman.
When I was at Channel 2, we did that All My Children little cameo where Susan Lucci gives me the big kiss. Yes. That's when I got the call from Molly, and she said, you know, if you can do a national soap opera, you could do Nutcracker. And I thought, Nutcracker? I mean, I don't know what I would look like in a tutu. She said, trust me, you'll never be in a tutu.
He played the role of party dad for decades, but this year, he's taken on a new role.
Now here we are 32 years later, and I'm the grandpa because I am the grandpa.
You already have grandpa.
I really am a grandpa, yeah, so it fits.
It's the role long held by newspaper columnist Smiley Anders.
Smiley was grandpa for how many years?
Oh Lord, 20, 25, I mean it was forever.
I know, I mean you almost never got that role.
I know, I had to wait, I was going to kill the guy off to get it. No, you know, I called him up the other day and I said, you know Smiley, I finally graduated to you.
The puzzling part is how to make up for the part.
I know that Smiley used to do these, he used to really get into the mascara, which kind of made me worry about him a little bit. And then he would put on these, I don't know, he had these rivets and he put silver spray paint in his hair. And I mean, he really did it up right. So I got a long way to go in figuring that out.
His stage wife is making her Nutcracker debut this year, but she's not new to the stage. Dana Lux has been in theater Baton Rouge productions 30 years and has been a music and show choir teacher 25. It's been a passion since childhood.
Probably since 5 or 6 years old, being in a show called The Truth About Cinderella, and I think I was able to step in as the understudy and just loved it ever since. I love performing, got a degree at LSU, and then decided if I couldn't go do Broadway, why not teach people with the passion that I have so that they could.
Dana's loved the Nutcracker since she was little.
I just love the ballet. Probably since I was very, very young. You know, all little girls want to be ballerinas when they grow up. And so I remember taking dance. And I think on my bucket list, I've always wanted to be in the Nutcracker, but I just thought, nah, I never could do that. And then just recently I talked with Molly and I was like, oh, I would really love to. And so it's become a wonderful blessing. So I'm excited. I hope it's many years to come.
For many in the cast, like Catherine Landry, performing becomes a family tradition.
I started in the Nutcracker as a mouse in 1990, and I've been dancing ever since.
She even danced while pregnant with her daughter Maisy. This year, Maisy joins the cast as a lamb.
This was her first year auditioning, so this is a big year for her. She loves it. Aww. She loves it. She can't wait. She wants to spend the night downtown with me all weekend and have, mommy-daughter time.
Maisy could grow into a lead role one day, like seniors Caroline and Riley.
I am, lead Snow. Flowers, Azalea Fairy, and Spanish.
Caroline was cast in the coveted role of Clara 5 years ago.
Crazy to be like all alone, and like if you messed up, no one would know because you're all alone.
This year, she returns in Arabian, a challenging, thrilling role.
Ever since I was little, seeing that one was cool.
She has 4 other roles too, including one of the dancing dolls.
At the end of the day, you get really tired.
The girls have each danced 13 years to reach this level. Months of Nutcracker rehearsals are tough.
Long, and a lot of them, but they've been good. They've been beneficial, and I enjoy them, especially with my friends. You know, you really bond. We've gotten a lot closer this year, I feel like.
Yeah.
They say the cast's hard work, dedication, and vision shows.
It's magical.
Yeah, it's like a dream.
Yeah,
all the
it really is.
costumes and the lights.
It's just so beyond, you know, Baton Rouge. It's like New York, you know?
It's
just
gorgeous.
big.
For the second year, performances will be held in Raising Cane's River Center Arena as the theater's $15 million renovation gets underway. This year, new staging brings better visibility.
Every seat has a better view, should I say, and I love in the arena that everybody has a higher perspective on the stage, and you can really see a lot more of the action, and you can even see the orchestra, and that's my son's favorite part because he really likes the band.
Leo hopes he doesn't become part of the orchestra.
Grandpa gets to move all over the stage and, you know, act a fool and get drunk at the end, and you can barely see if, you know, you really kind of wonder, is he going to make it? Because, you know, the edge of the stage is only like, you know, that far away. And we have had people fall off the stage. So,
Don't be that guy.
I don't want to be that guy. No, I don't want to fall into the tuba. No.
That sounds really painful.
More than 50 musicians comprise this year's orchestra, each mic'd to fill the arena with bold, beautiful sound. And because the arena doesn't have an orchestra pit, the audience can watch them in action.
It's magical. It's everything musically brought to life with the ballet. It's really hard to find words to express. It's just so exciting how it's all come together, and it's just, the arts are alive with Baton Rouge Ballet Theater.
This ballet belongs to Baton Rouge, to the audience of thousands, to the 300 dancers who grace the stage from beginners to the advanced, hundreds who work behind the scenes, the masterful musicians, and everyone who appreciates the arts.
Dancing is a language that is felt instead of heard.
2 new guest artists from the Colorado Ballet join this year's production. Domenico Luciano and Casey Dalton.
They've come in on their own sleigh, apparently.
Plus snow to go with it.
There's always snow with Nutcracker. It is the only time you can be guaranteed of a 100% chance of snow in Baton Rouge, is during Nutcracker. So if you want to see snow this year, come to Nutcracker.
It'll give you the holiday spirit.
It's just such a spectacular, colorful, bigger-than-life production.
Tickets are available through Ticketmaster.com, the Baton Rouge Ballet office, or you can just show up downtown at the Raising Cane's River Center and buy your tickets at the box office in person. Tickets range from $25 to $65 for their 4 performances, December 14th and 15th at 2 and 6 p.m. And still ahead, Dr. Nick shows us how to break the tendency of focusing on the wrong things as Weekends with Whitney continues. And that DNA is still in us.
Break out of the chaos.
Louisiana's Old State Capitol educates the public on Louisiana's rich history and the democratic process through exhibits, programming, and the arts. The museum is dedicated to advancing the collection and preserving this national historic landmark. Visit LouisianaOldStateCapitol.org.
Why is it that we often focus on the wrong things? Dr. Nick joins us with more. Good to see you, but we
Good
do
to see
this
you. Good morning.
even when we know that we shouldn't.
Yes, you're right. intellectually we know, why am I doing this?
And let's talk about some of the big five that we talk about.
I thought that there were the big five.
Well, okay, so what do we concentrate on and focus on that we shouldn't? Big five. One.
Well, let's be careful about the shouldn't yet, okay?
Oh.
We'll come back to that, but right now I think we ought to try to give it a positive spin.
Okay.
That there's a reason why we do this, or reasons. We sometimes predict the worst. You know, always something. You know, when I got my condo years ago, my mother's first comment was, hurricanes. Danger. You know, we do it. We all do it. We just like, well, what's the worst that could happen?
Okay.
Which, by the way, sometimes is good to play out. What's the worst thing that could happen?
Yes.
And then you get the reality that it may not be as bad as we thought. But the second one was ruminating on the past, holding grudges, just constantly obsessing about something that happened a while back, not letting go of hurt or even anger.
Sure. Or wanting the good old days again.
Wanting the good old days again. Yes, that past can really haunt us, and it can hold us back again from the future. But another of the big five is obviously worrying and thinking, what do other people think? I mean, I grew up thinking, worrying about the Joneses and the Smiths, or comparing, do they like me? Am I approved?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Number four, what we often focus on is I'm not good enough.
I'm not good enough. Yeah.
And
one of the bottom lines.
Yeah. And the fifth, we always need more.
We need more. We need more. Okay.
So why do we do this, and what's it rooted in?
Okay. This guy's hypothesis, theory, is that we have to be careful not to judge it too harshly, because it really comes out of our evolutionary history. We were once cavemen and women. We've had to deal with major diseases.
And that DNA is still in us.
Yes. That ancestral kind of protection, survival, defending. I don't have enough.
Because you never knew if famine was around the corner.
Right. Exactly.
Or if it was ever going to rain again, right?
Listen, I know people now who are extremely wealthy, and they are still living like they're in the Depression because that's when they grew up. Mm-hmm. Now, what does that tell you about short ancestry? And so the issue is not that you're a hoarder or you're so it's rooted in your experience. And a lot of this is very old experience. I mean, we've been around many, many years. Wanting more makes sense to me because, again, we've got to make sure we've got enough.
Right.
My mother used to store bottles of water in the shed. And I for what? Well, that was more like the enough. But still, she was afraid we got to have enough. We got to have more water.
I had an aunt who canned vegetables out of her garden, and I'm telling you, she must have had 300. She was never going to eat 300 cans of her green beans and tomatoes and squash.
But she went to bed feeling good.
But she did, and it was right before the winter. So is that probably ancestral?
Yes, it's all rooted in that kind of struggle for survival and protection, which is really fascinating, and we'll get back to them, which is fascinating. The research is pretty clear, Whitney. No matter what we see on TV, read in the paper, think about in terms of today's horrors, this is the safest period in history we've ever lived. Ooh. We don't have plagues. We don't have, horrible. Look at the history.
We're not going through World War II.
We're not going through World War II. I mean, we've got cars everywhere. There are just so mmany conveniences that help us stay safe.
So why, when our logical brain
tells us that,
why does the illogical part of fear and worry seem to take over sometimes? Because
it's just the natural human primitive tendency to think, am I fitting in? Am I likable? Like what? Do people like me? Am I being approved of?
Sure, which could come back from the neighboring tribe, and if you all were enemies, they might come kill your whole village in the middle of the night, right? So we kind of wanted to be a little likable.
Yes, and remember too now, we're not just talking about, let's say, whether you like me or not. Sometimes we don't want to deal with our children disciplined because we're afraid they won't like us.
Oh. That close.
And it absolutely it gets that close. And so as adults, as parents, as therapists, we have to work through this primitive mindset that I want them to like me. That's not, that it can really get in the way of what is the right thing to do. The notion of danger, of predicting the worst. You know, Whitney, pardon me, it's not the worst thing in the world to be thinking sometimes of danger, because maybe you've been in a situation like that before. I mean, maybe my mother was in a hurricane, and that's why it popped up in her mind.
Right, right.
Don't you know?
Yeah, there's things that we maybe haven't necessarily gone through, but our ancestors have.
Yes, or parents or other people have that we haven't. So I mean, I just thought it was really interesting to look at these, and remember, we're still talking about changing the brain. Aren't we changing the brain when we start saying, oh, I know where this is coming from?
I think the exciting thing is there are things that we can do to deal with that and help refocus. What are they?
Yeah. Well, first of all, and I think we've already kind of touched on it, be aware that they're real. That sometimes we feel like we're not enough. Sometimes we feel like we've got to have more.
Right.
And that's when you say, okay, that's what I'm going through right now. I'm not sure why. And we can start questioning, I'm wondering where that's coming from.
Yeah.
And we can start thinking, you know, what am I missing that I don't have enough of? Have I got a roof on my head? Have I got a car? Is there food in the refrigerator? Have I got people who love me? Huh?
Yeah.
Did I have good people around during my surgery? We can get in there and dialogue, but a friendly dialogue. Not, I can't have this feeling, but where's that coming from? It's almost like the child in us, if you want to go back to the child.
Yeah.
You know, to think danger's coming. Okay, there may be some danger, but let's think about what it could be. You start reframing.
Yeah.
Does that, you know, it seems to me that that's the way to do it, except, and then dialogue.
Breathe deeply.
Yes, and dialogue it, talk to it, talk to that voice that seems to come in with fear or with negativity or I'm unloved. I mean, there are just so many ways that we can. One of the great things I learned studying cognitive work is rational work. Is, you know, they say take the trial to court, take the thought to court, put it on trial, and be your own kind of judge and jury and say, wow, that's not really true.
You're right.
That's
You're
not
right.
really true.
Play it to the worst case scenario. And
Yes.
you go, oh, sounds so bad.
And one last thing is again, and this is where I think the powerful talk and dialogue and journaling, and of course, I mean, I'm not, counseling also helps.
Sure.
Because then you're able to go in and say, I wonder I see now where this comes from. I love people's stories, Whitney. They tell me so much about where we are today when we get the history.
Right.
And there's even aha moments with people that I work, like, oh my God, I never thought about that. That was really, really hard, and it's made me fearful of going into this kind of situation.
Yes.
Because that happened in the past.
Yes.
And then we work through it. Okay, you're not there anymore. Huh? You've changed. You're 3 years older. Whatever.
Absolutely.
You just moved. Well, you're looking at me like, are you thinking?
Yeah.
No.
It's actually a story about Kim. She had a kind of an aha moment, if you don't mind me sharing, just a little bit. A couple of weeks ago, she had an aha moment of why she stands when she eats often. Like a lot of times we hear, like, Kim, don't you want to sit down? Don't you want to sit down? No, I want to stand up. And she said around her dinner table growing up, her father might get mad and throw something at her. Or anyone at the table. Yeah. And just how often get mad. And so she said, you know, if I'm not in the line of fire, if I'm eating over here, I'm not getting hit or struck by, you know, whatever was flying across the table.
That's a great story.
Wasn't that?
And it also brings me to another thing that I think we do to help it. What does Kim need to do? Sit at the table for 5 minutes, and then for 10 minutes, and then for 20 minutes. With safe people, and then for 40 minutes. Practice, change the behavior.
Yeah.
Change the behavior, even if it's short-lived. Now, if she wants to, she might be happy standing.
I was going to say, I think it feels really good to her.
Yeah,
she
may
feels
be
so
happy standing.
safe. But I think you're right that you know there are times that you really do need to sit down and eat, and so incremental times.
Yeah, and just not to put Kim in the therapy chair, but you know, Kim might also want to say to the people that, you know, she's going to, you know, I sometimes need to stand. It's my own stuff. Yeah. Nothing y'all have done. Oh. Because, you know, people can read that.
Of course we do.
Why is she standing? She doesn't want to sit?
Yeah, what's wrong with us? She doesn't want to sit with us?
And then we fall into, she doesn't like me.
Right.
So clarity can be so important.
Thank you. That's a great information for everyone dealing with anything like that.
Right.
Thank you.
The next time that I'm sick and y'all come over to drink martinis, I'm just going to walk out and say, no, y'all go somewhere else because I'm jealous.
We knew you would.
I'm jealous or sick.
I love it. Thanks, Dr. Nick. More Weekends with Whitney after this. Atlas Foundation Repair, fixing your foundation problems for more than 30 years while preserving and protecting your trees. Thanks for sharing your time with us here on Weekends with Whitney. We hope to see you back here again next week. But until then, we leave you with this.
For the area and out of state even to come and see our Nutcracker. And it's of course a local tradition because it's the Cajun, the tale from the Bayou. So we have the most special
That's special.
Nutcracker.
That means you should be leaving.
That is for my BRBT board meeting.
And on that note, we shall let you go, my dear.